Well, I don't know about you guys, but I think that it's time to start painting our modular space terrain that we 3D printed. Now, I've already got a layer of kind of a blackish silver. I think what I specifically bought, I tried to find just straight black primer, but I couldn't find it at the store that I was at, so I just found this black metallic color. I think that it'll be fine as a base coat. It's already got a little bit of a sheen to it, but I think that that'll be alright, and I actually just painted the whole set. I just went and did the whole thing, so we're good to go. So after we get the actual layer of black on there, we're gonna move on to the actual steel colors. Alright, and by the steel colors, what I'm referring to are, I've got 3 different colors of paints. I just went to my local department store and I just got a bunch of regular paints. I didn't get miniature paints or anything like that. I got this gunmetal gray, this dark gray color, and then I also got this sterling silver, which is just kind of a, you know, silver color. And then I got pearl white. Oh, Dougie. And then I got this pearl white here. Now, these are all metallic colors, but they're all various shades, basically, of metallic. So we've got a few things here, and we're gonna see how each of those work out. On top of that, too, though, I also got this copper color, this antique copper color. And then I also got a couple of just larger kind of brushes that I figured we would use for the whole project. So let's get started. Let's just kind of take each different type of piece one at a time and go from there. All right, now we're starting with all of the floor tiles, right? So I think that we'll do a couple of things. I think the first thing that we're going to do, though, is I imagine the floors are going to be a little bit brighter than the walls. Like, the walls can be a little bit darker and the floors will be a little bit brighter. And that will just kind of be a little bit of a better indication when you're playing any sort of games, you know, kind of where you can move, what spaces, and all that kind of stuff. So why don't we make them a little bit lighter? So why don't we take out that pearl white metallic color, and we'll just use that for most of our floors. So I've just got like the cardboard surface that I used to paint them all on, and I'm just gonna get out a big glob of paint. Just a big glob of paint. I'll just go ahead and grab this little brush right here. This is just some random generic larger brush. I don't think that it's going to matter a whole lot. And I think I'm not going to be too worried about getting paint on my fingers or anything like that. I'm just going to sort of run my brush across the top without pressing too firmly, because I would like to try to keep the lower recesses a little bit darker. So I'm just going to really, really lightly kind of you know, run my brush across the top of the whole thing. And I think that is kind of, it's almost the same sort of principle as when we're doing our dry brushing a little bit. That's kind of what I'm doing right here. So I'm just gonna, yeah, I think that that'll be just fine right there. It doesn't have to look, you know, super perfect or pretty or anything like that, but it just kind of has to get the sort of, you know, the point across. And I think that the point gets across pretty well there. Yeah, you can kind of see the difference there between those two. So let's just go ahead and do that for a bunch of those. Let's knock out a few of them and just kind of take it as we go. But yeah, I don't think you need to do anything too fancy or anything like that. I mean, the fact that you've got the 3D sculpts is already pretty fancy, so you know, you don't need to be too perfectionist. But yeah, you kind of get the idea. So I am going to do that for several of these. And I think that for some variety as well, though, I'm also going to use that copper color, because I imagine there might be some copper floors or something like that as we go. So why don't we get out some of that copper color that we've got, that antique copper color. Not going to get out quite as much, but yeah, let's get out a little bit there. Let's move on to another one here. I'm not even going to wipe my brush off. I don't think I really don't think you're going to have to be honest. And then we'll just kind of run across here, just like that. And like I said, you might get some paint on your fingers when you do this or whatever, but I'm not too worried about that. I think that I'll be all right. Yeah, there we go. That looks pretty good. That's got a little bit of variety compared to the just straight silver ones there. So I'm going to move that over. Let's do another copper one just to kind of, you know, show you again. Again, kind of what we're doing is like a, not quite dry brushing technique, but a similar sort of thing where we're just kind of getting the high points of our little sculpts here, and we're just kind of getting those colors. Okay, so I'm just gonna go ahead and knock all of them out. Alright, so we've got all of our floor plates and everything like that now. Just got a bunch of random copper ones, as well as some just regular kind of steel, silvery gray ones there. And then I think, oh, you know what? I forgot about the 3x3 inch ones. I'm gonna knock them out real quick. Alright, there we go. Now we have our 3x3 plates there too. So we've got the whole collection of the floor plates done. Let's move on to some walls. Alright, and like I said, I can imagine the walls are going to be a little bit darker. I think we can get away with the walls being a little bit darker, and that would look just fine. So I'm going to take this gunmetal gray here, and because this gunmetal gray is by itself already pretty dark, I don't think we need to worry so much about the sort of dry brushing thing that we were sort of doing, where we were just kind of, you know, taking this big brush here. Let's grab this bad boy right here. This is a big guy right here. I'm not going to worry about just kind of, you know, lightly going across the whole thing like this. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to soak my brush, and I'm just going to go over the whole thing. Not going to worry about, you know, any particular details or any particular things or anything like that. We're just kind of getting a base coat of this gunmetal gray over all of the walls. And we'll do some individual stuff, you know, as we go. But for now, let's just get some gunmetal gray over all of the walls. Again, you don't need to worry about doing anything too fancy or detailed or anything. Just kind of, yeah, just gonna get a quick layer on there. That'll be fine. All right, and let's just move on to the next one. Okay. Yeah, and there's not even a huge difference between these, you can tell, you know, between just the black and the gray that I did here. But that's fine. I mean, that's kind of what we're looking for. We kind of want these walls to be a lot darker anyway. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and knock out all of these walls. All right, so we've got our walls coming along here. We've got the base layer of kind of this dark metallic steel gray color, and you can kind of see the contrast compared to the floor plates there. That's what we were looking for. All right, next up, we're going to do something to kind of help brighten up the walls a little bit, but in a way that's different from the floor plates. So what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be taking each of the walls here, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to get out some of this glossy yellow paint. This is just some random yellow paint here that's nice and bright. It's got a gloss to it, so it's going to have just a little bit of a shine. I'm going to really squeeze some out there. It looks like mustard. It looks like really gross mustard. Okay, and what we're going to do is we're going to paint the tops of the walls with this bright yellow color. And what that's going to do is it's going to add more contrast to the walls that will be separate from the floors, so you can kind of just tell more easily at a first glance or whatever, you know, what's a wall and what's not. It's not going to be, you know, a huge thing, but it is going to be quite noticeable. And I think that it will end up looking pretty cool when we do the big picture. So again, I'm just going to coat a layer of yellow over the tops of the walls, like this. And you're going to do the same thing with all of your corners, you know, all of your little corner pieces like these. So we're just going to do the same kind of thing, where we're just going to paint over the tops of the pillars. And that's a nice bright contrast. Okay. And then let's grab one of the little corner ones right here. I'm going to knock out a couple more on camera. And like I said, you're going to be doing, I think, a couple of layers. I think that if you want to really make sure that you really hit home with the concept that you're doing here, you want to do a couple of layers, but you got to let it completely dry before you move on to a second coat. So let's just knock out a few of these really quickly. Oh, some of these walls have kind of thicker tops here. You can kind of see compared to these two. These are the ones that have the kind of ventilation little ducts on them. So yeah, they're just going to be a little bit thicker. I don't think it really matters what brush you use. You can just use kind of, you know, any sort of standard brush like this. And yeah, that's just going to be a nice contrast to the rest of the wall. And I think that yellow will work. I mean, you could use pretty much any sort of bright color that you want, but I feel like yellow is just a really good sort of industrial caution tape kind of looking color scheme. You know, if you've got really, really dark steel gray walls, and then you have yellow up top, it kind of gives it a little bit more of a sort of natural, industrial sort of look to it. But you can use, you know, orange, you could use red, you could use blue. I mean, whatever you like. It's just that I think that yellow works particularly well for this sort of dynamic. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and knock out all of the tops of these walls here, and then we're going to move on to the next step. And that's kind of what it's going to look like with the yellow tops in there as well. As you can see, it's got a pretty good look to it. I'm actually quite happy with it, if I don't say so myself. I like the kind of visual, you know, contrast between the tops of the walls, as well as the walls themselves and the floors and all that kind of stuff. Now, that's it for the grand scheme of things. But the next thing that I want to kind of look at is I want to take individual pieces and all that, and I kind of want to just do random little detail works like that. Like these ducts. I might do some work on those ducts. Another thing too, where's it at? Here we go. Okay, so like here's one of these little computer terminals. Oh, I'm also using the clips here too, so you can kind of see what it looks like with the clips and all that, and how much more secure and stable it is, and all that kind of stuff. You know, you don't, if you don't use the clips and you just kind of like brush your hand against the whole thing, it'll kind of like destroy your whole thing that you've built up here. But luckily with the clips, yeah, it's a lot harder to really knock it all out of shape here. So as you can see, it's still in pretty good shape like that. Okay, so yeah, like I said, we're going to kind of look at these computer terminals right here. And I thought that we could maybe do some work with some of them. So why don't we work on some of those first? Oh, and I forgot about the doors, too. So we've got the doors all base-coated and all that, but let's go ahead and do something with them. Why don't we go ahead and take out our sterling silver color. It's not quite as bright as that pearl white color that we were using, but why don't we just use this to apply an even coat to each of the doors, and we'll see how that looks. And I think that because I wasn't able to use actual primer and I just kind of had to use regular spray paint, it's hard to get this actual paint to apply evenly, which is why even though we're using this bright silver color here, it's still kind of dark, you know, compared to even the regular base coat. It's still pretty dark. So even after we do this, we might do like some dry brushing or something like that with that pearl white color or something like that, but we'll see how we're doing as we go. I'm kind of on the fence about whether or not I want to do the red tops for the doors, or the red tops, yellow tops for the doors, just because, well, you know, they're mechanically different from the walls themselves, so I don't know if I would want them to blend in, you know, the same way as the walls. We might do something a little bit different too, though. We might do what I just mixed up by saying red doors. Might make the tops of them red or something like that to contrast them separately from the yellow. But we'll see what we do when we get there. In the meantime, yeah, I'm going to go ahead and get an even layer of this sterling silver color over all these doors. And we'll check back in a minute. Alright, so there are our floor tiles and doors. Now, they still look pretty dark, but again, I just have really bad lighting in my particular setup right now. But you can see, kind of compared to the normal wall pieces that I had, that they are noticeably brighter. So that's what we were going for there. Okay, so now after we've got our fancy doors and our floor tiles for those doors, let's move on to the details that we were talking about a second ago. Alright, so what we're going to do is we're going to just take all of our different colors there. Well, I'm going to take two major colors here. I'm going to take the pearl white, and I'm going to take the antique copper, and I'm just going to get out a bunch of paint, and then I'm just going to... whoa, we're fine, it's all good, And we're just going to sort of randomly decide what things will be painted and what things will not be. So, for example, I've got some wall pieces here. I'm just going to look at these pipes right here, and I just kind of imagine those pipes might be a little bit of a different color. So let's just randomly take some copper here, and let's just put some copper on those pipes. You know, just little things like that to kind of give some visual variety to all of our pieces that we've already done. you know, kind of keeping with the industrial theme. But yeah, just adding a little bit of variety. So there's that there. We can even take, you know, some of these little panel things on the back, and we can just really quickly just kind of, you know, run some copper along those. You don't need to be super detailed or careful about it or anything like that. Just kind of generally go through it all there. You know, like I'm using a really, really bad brush here, but that's fine because this is all that you need, really. So there you go. That's just one down there. Let's take another one. We've got another, you know, kind of like pipe here running along the back of this thing. Now, the other thing to keep in mind, too, is that I have found myself saying this more and more with miniatures, and that's, remember, less is more. You don't want to just go crazy, and you don't want to just, you know, paint every single little thing on every single wall, because then it'll, you know, get pretty muddled pretty quickly. And you kind of want to avoid that. You still want to have the, you know, general sort of dark gray steel kind of color palette that you're going for. Let's go and get these panels on the back right here. And you can even take the same wall types, the same wall pieces, and even though you're, you know, doing something special with one of them, like here I've got this very common wall piece right here that I've got multiple pieces for, and I'm currently doing these little vents, these little ducts here with this bronze color. But then if I take out, you know, another wall piece that's the same type, whoop, not that one. Is that one? No? Yes, that's one. Okay. And I'll just go ahead and leave that the way it is. But what I will do is I'll go ahead and take another random one here, and I've got another random little panel here. Let's go ahead and just paint bronze. Yeah, let's just do that. And then, you know, you can even go extra crazy too, and, you know, this whole panel on the top of the wall here, we can just, you know, kind of go over that whole thing with this bronze color too. You know, it's just kind of, it's up to you. I mean, whatever you want to do. It's just that, again, like I said, less is more. Like, I'm not going to paint half of this whole panel with the bronze color. I'm just going to do, you know, little pieces like that. And, you know, I might as well just kind of do the back of this panel here, too. Again, don't worry about the details. Don't worry about doing anything very, very specifically or anything like that. Just kind of generally, you know, have fun with the things that you've got there. So there you go. That's a couple pieces there. You know, you can take your little corner pieces here, and I've got some vents here. I'll go ahead and just paint those vents with this bronze color just to add a little bit of variety. And I don't even need to do it on all of the corners of this corner piece. I could just do, you know, one there and then maybe one on the opposite side of the corner here. You know, again, just some variety, nothing major, nothing too crazy or anything like that. Yeah, we'll go ahead and stick with that one right there. You can even do the ends of the walls. Like, sometimes you're going to have walls just kind of coming out into the middle of floors and that kind of thing, so this would be kind of like a barrier to kind of take cover behind. So if you want to paint the sides of the walls a little bit too, you can do that. You know, kind of like that. That's up to you. It's whatever you want to do. I'll go ahead and look at these little vents right here, and let's just get those vents. There we go, just a little bit more variety. There you go. But yeah, just kind of pick and choose little pieces as you go. Just kind of say, hey, I want this there and that there and all that kind of stuff. Now, one thing that I am going to do, the computer terminals, I've got a few pieces that are computer terminals. I just grabbed one. And I kind of want those to be a lot brighter. So I'm going to go ahead and take this, the white paint that we used here, and I'm just going to apply that white paint very, very sort of liberally here to this computer terminal. And I don't know, I'm kind of imagining, you know, a little bit of a sort of a MacBook kind of thing, you know, where it's the pristine, sterling silver, whitish kind of computer terminal. We'll just go ahead and go over the whole thing with this. Not going to be worried about, you know, dry brushing or anything like that. I'm just doing just a solid layer of white, and then I'm probably going to take some reflective black, like just some glossy black, and then I'll go ahead and do the actual monitor, and that will make it look like an actual monitor screen. There we go. That gives that computer terminal there a very, very bright sort of look. It kind of draws you in a little bit when you're looking at it from a top-down view or whatever. So that works there. And then we'll just take some other random wall panels, and yeah, we'll continue to use that sort of white color palette for other random walls. Like I've got a random little, you know, 2-space panel here, and I'll just go ahead and fill in, you know, one of those panels like we did with, you know, one of the bronze ones there a minute ago. Yeah, just something like that, just a little bit of variety, like I said. And then we'll go ahead and get the back here too. Let's just kind of do the same sort of thing where we're just going to paint over these little panels. And I want to reiterate, the colors that I'm using are metallic colors. So I've got this metallic white, this metallic pearl white, and this metallic bronze here. Because, you know, it's all made of steel, it's all metal, it's all, you know, heavy duty and all that good stuff. I'll just take some more, you know, of this white here, and we'll just randomly do some more piping here and that kind of thing. But yeah, basically all that we're doing right now is just kind of nitpicky little detail work. That's all that we're doing right here. Alright, and then I've pretty much got all of these sort of individual little detail work that I wanted to get done for each of these all set, so I'm good to go there. I've got some random pieces that have some bronze, some with some silver. I think I've even got some with some bronze and silver. Alright, and I've been thinking a little bit more while I was doing this, and I think that I am gonna go ahead and try to do the doors with red tops. So I've got all of my doors here. And yeah, as you can see, I've just got the bright silver, bright, you know, grab you sort of, you know, color scheme going about for all. Did I just forget to do the back of one of them? I guess I did. Well, that's embarrassing. Now I'm going to use some actual miniature paint for this, just because in practice, while I was doing this, I had to do a lot of coats of yellow in order to get it to work. So I'm going to use this Game Color brand of paint here, this bloody red color, and I think that this will apply much more easily. So we'll try this to see what it does. And I might even do a couple of things here. I might do the tops of the doors themselves, as well as the little kind of spaces or whatever, the notches that the doors fit into, to kind of tell you at an easy first glance that this is the space where a door can close if you know, open a door like that. You know, if you're looking about the whole battlefield or whatever, and you're like, okay, where can a door go, or where am I supposed to close a door? You can look for little red notches there. So let's do that. And we're just gonna coat the tops of these doors here. And as I finish them up too, I'm also going to be doing the little door slots too that they fit into in the floor. And yeah, like I said, that'll just kind of help tell at a first glance, you know, where a door can go, or where a door is supposed to close or something like that. Alright, so that's it for all of our doors with the beautiful paint of layer of red right above those doors, as well as the actual plates themselves. And I think that the last kind of thing that we're going to move on to is some just nice, good old-fashioned decoration stuff for some of our plates and floors and all that. So why don't we get some blood splatter going on here? Now, if I've gushed about this stuff on the channel before, it is excellent stuff. This Citadel brand Blood for the Blood God stuff, this is the closest thing that you will get to actual blood. It is really, really, really nice. And we want to get our blood to be all splattered, so we've got a weird sort of technique that we're going to do. Alright, I'm going to take just a regular kind of floor plate that we've got here. Alright, I'm going to open up my bottle. So what we're going to do is, I'm going to take just a big old-fashioned, you know, brush with sort of like long bristles like this. You want kind of loose bristles, and then actually you can kind of see using this brush where I've done it before. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to get a little bit of paint, a little bit of this Blood for the Blood God onto the tip of my brush like that. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold this other brush just above the plate. And then what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to just sort of like flick the brush, you know, against this this brush right here. And that, I think, will give us some cool blood splatter effects. It's the same effect that I've used for a dumpster that I've got, that little miniature dumpster thing, as well as some barrels and that kind of stuff that I've got. Now the other thing about this too is that like your usual paint stuff, less is more. So don't go too crazy, you know, don't go just kind of, you know, just soaking your brush and all that, and you get some really nice effects by doing this, but it also uses a fair amount of paint. So just kind of be careful. And yeah, that gives you a good sort of like splatter, and then you can just use the tip of your brush too to just kind of, you know, press directly onto there to get the actual sort of puddles of blood. There we go, just like that. And easy as that, you've got some really nice blood stains, some blood splatter going on your piles there. You can do the same thing with the actual walls. So let's take out one of our walls right here. And you can do, like I said, this splatter technique. You can just kind of dot some blood on it using the tip of your brush. And just like that, you got some nice blood splatter on the walls there too. You can go a little crazy. Just, you know, remember, less is more. So I'm not even going to soak every single tile. I'm not going to use blood on every single tile. Just a few that I feel like I kind of want to have some blood on them. So I'll just grab a few random ones here, and then we're going to decorate. And then I think that after that, actually, I think that's going to be everything that we're going to want to do with all of these terrain pieces. So after we get all the blood on various pieces like that, we're going to set it all up, and we're going to see how it all looks. And I think that is basically a completed set. Now, as you can see, I've got my blood splatter effects here on all of my tiles here. I think that they mostly turned out okay. The only thing that you might run into is that the patterns might have sort of a grid-like look to them because, you know, it's, you know, they're little 2-inch by 2-inch tiles that you apply it to. You don't really want to, like, go crazy and put a bunch of blood splatter on the edge of a tile, because if it lines up with another tile that doesn't have that same sort of blood splatter, then it doesn't quite look right. But I've got kind of a theme here, so I've got some of my, you know, walls with all of my different blood splatter going on there too. And then, yeah, you can kind of see where the visual aesthetic change is with the doors right there. You can kind of tell right there that that can be a door. And so, you know, you can just kind of pop that thing back into place right there. What I even did too is I found some bright green, some weird glossy green color, and I thought, well, maybe there was an alien that got shot up, or maybe there was some toxic waste that was splattered around, or whatever. So that's the kind of green thing that I've got going there. Yeah, you can really use any kinds of colors, but I think that bright sort of chartreuse green is pretty good for that kind of thing. So that's one thing that you can kind of do. I've got, you know, a little tiny one-space hallway here leading to a door. But, yeah, this is pretty much a complete set. Let's get some miniatures and some props into the mix, just to kind of see what it looks like as a complete picture. And check this out right here. So now we've got a whole battle sequence kind of going on here. I've got a bunch of, you know, Warhammer 40k Space Marines showing up to a party, barging in, trying to see what's going on here. Meanwhile, we got these red Nova Corps troops over here investigating what's going on, and they're trying to figure out what they're supposed to be doing around here. And then all the way over here, we got some mercenaries who are hanging out. Maybe one of them is, you know, an engineer trying to get into this door right here. Yeah, sure. Let's put her right there. She's pretty cool there. You can actually see some of these are these custom bases that I made in a previous video a while ago, where I made some custom bases. They turned out okay. I might do another video at some point to explore clear bases, so that you can kind of see you know, terrain work like this a lot more easily. We might get into that in a little bit. Here, I got the Punisher. Got a cool Punisher miniature hanging out here. Yeah, but that's the Punisher right here. And then, yeah, we got some zombies crawling around here trying to work their way through. This guy's trying to barge in through this door, and he's got a leg in his arm right there. He's just kind of carrying a leg. And then all the way up in here, we've got sort of an industrial sort of room right here where this one guy's hanging out with a computer terminal. Back with all of these zombies, you know, we've got all sorts of terrain and little obstacles that they can shoot past, shoot through, and all that stuff. So those are pretty cool. Yeah, I'm quite happy with these zombies. I painted these guys a while ago, many years ago, but yeah, there we go. Yeah, they look pretty good. I'm actually pretty happy with them. Yeah, so we got some cool zombies here. We've got our Frank Castle, the Punisher. We've got our mercenaries, and we've got our Warhammer Space Marines. We've got this this whole room full of toxic goo, full of all sorts of whatever fun stuff is in there. So yeah, there you go, guys. That's this really cool modular space terrain by Niphilim that you can find online at Thingiverse, and you can print off using a 3D printer. I'll try to do some more videos about some terrain and miniature stuff, so stay tuned for the channel. I'm gonna have another Mansions of Madness playthrough video coming up here soon, so stay tuned for that. But yeah, stick around if you wanted to see any more, you know, tabletop gaming hobby stuff. We'll see you next time. Bye.